In this video, you'll see my ever-shrinking collection of EDC knives and multi-tools as I continue to balance my love of all things everyday carry with my journey towards minimizing the clutter in my life. And in light of that journey, I'll also be sharing the entry guidelines for a subscriber giveaway as well. Welcome to Get It Together, and if you're new here, this channel's just me trying to figure out how to get my life together and sharing the tips and lessons I learn along the way. Before continuing, there are indeed section timestamps in the description below, so feel free to hop around as you see fit. In a recent video I made sharing my current everyday carry kit, and I'll link that video right up here, I showed that the Benchmade Bailout is my current daily workhorse. But as I continue on with learning and implementing certain aspects of minimalism into my life, I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at my current collection of blades and multi-tools as I audit all things EDC that I own and start paring things down in my pursuit of minimizing. Today, my knife drawer looks like this, a mishmash of frequently used tools and impulse buys, all of which I'll be ranking based on the frequency of use, value or bang for buck, and subjective personal enjoyment. I've already started paring things down for about a year, ever since I started my Learning Minimalism series. We'll kick things off with my current primary blade, the Benchmade Bailout. Featuring a Tonto blade made of extremely durable M4 steel, this is what's on my person well over 90% of the time. It stands to reason then that in the frequency of use category, it's a 10 out of 10. Bang for buck value is where things get a bit trickier. It's a Benchmade, so automatically you're paying for the logo, or as the EDC community calls it, the butterfly tax. Here's my attitude on things now after starting to adopt aspects of minimalism. There's this common saying, quality over quantity. I don't even subscribe to that anymore. My attitude now is individual long-term usability over quality and quantity. Meaning, if all I ever had a need for a blade was spreading butter, then getting a below average quality butter knife that'll still last forever for $1 would make more sense to me than getting the best quality butter knife, because that dollar store version still does the job you need it to do, and it'll still last a lifetime. But I poke and prod, and don't roast me too hard, but even pry with my EDC blade, not to mention obviously open packages and envelopes, process quite a large amount of cardboard and gaff tape when I'm filming for clients regularly. So this tremendously durable M4 steel is actually something I need. For me personally, the fact that I paid that butterfly tax also compels me to treat this Bailout with respect, remembering to oil it every week and sharpen it every month or so on the work sharp. Costing over $200 for a mass-produced item is still very expensive, but personally, the fact that it handles everything I throw at it, and most importantly will continue to do so for decades of daily use, ranks it at 8 out of 10 for me. The last category of subjective enjoyment, meaning these factors might only apply to me. It's got a great fidget factor with a confident opening action snap into the engaged axis lock and a magnetic feeling snap to retract. And again, it's not really magnetic, it just feels that way when you retract it. I love the color, love the handle scale details, and the choice of aluminum for the handles just psychologically feels more confidence inspiring to me. So it's a 9 out of 10 there for me as well. I've linked it in the description below if you'd like to check it out for yourself. Moving on to the Spyderco Para 3 Lightweight. I impulse bought this a week after selling my paramilitary 2. And I'm not gonna lie, my primary reason for picking it up was because I just missed doing the spider flick with the paramilitary 2. I do like uniqueness and experimentation though, so I justified the pickup because it uses a newer proprietary blade steel alloy unique to Spyderco brand, developed in collaboration with Crucible Industries, called SPY27. Frequency of use, I gotta give this 2 out of 10 since it's my second most used blade. But since the Bailout is truly my everyday workhorse, I'm lucky if this Para 3 Lightweight sees the light of day even once a month. At its current attaining price point of about $160, bang for buck, I'll give it a 7 out of 10 because that Spy27 steel has a fantastic edge retention on it for my typical package and envelope opening tasks. The fiber reinforced nylon handle scales are a tremendous balance between being ultra lightweight while still inspiring a boatload of confidence, just in terms of durability and less flexion than, say, the Grivery handle scales on the lightweight offerings from Benchmade's bug out line. To be clear, I'm not claiming that Grivery is less durable, it's just my subjective perception comparing the two. I prefer less flexion, but with all these positives, it loses 3 points for me because even though it does what it says on the tin, offering tremendously lightweight, that simultaneously just makes it feel less robust overall for its price tag. Subjective enjoyment, it's an automatic 10 out of 10. 2 words, spider flick. If you know, you know. I've also linked it in the description below if you'd like to check it out for yourself. Next, my Victorinox Fieldmaster Swiss Army knife. I've had this sack for exactly 10 years. What more is there to say? It's a Swiss Army knife, many people's very first multi-tool. It doesn't get much action anymore, but it's been with me the longest and brings back fond memories of my childhood. I still remember being like 3 or 4 years old and my dad trusting me enough to not kill myself with his. Frequency of use, this is a 1 out of 10. I think the thing I use the most is the toothpick, and I don't even use it for my teeth, mostly scraping stuff out from under my nails or random poking of small things I'm tinkering with. Bang for buck on this Fieldmaster, and honestly, in my opinion, of almost any reputable Swiss Army knife, has got to be a 10 out of 10. I mean, at less than $40 US, you can't really go wrong with such functionality at such a light weight and small size. Subjective enjoyment, it's pretty high up there just because of the connected memory of my father. So I'm just gonna give it a 7 out of 10. You can find it linked in the description below if you'd like to check it out for yourself. Moving on to my Leatherman Charge Plus TTI. This was my daily carry for nearly a year before I picked up my Bailout. If you want to see my full review, I'll link it right up here. It's super functional like all Leatherman multi-tools. I picked this up because of its smaller size compared to the Leatherman Surge that I replaced it with, while offering all the tools I personally use for it. Ultimately, I replaced it with a Bailout since I don't need most of the tools on a daily or even weekly basis, and it's more than 3 times heavier than my Bailout and double the thickness, weighing down my pants. Nowadays, it stays in my car's glove box since I believe everyone will benefit from having a reliable multi-tool accessible to them at all times. It comes with this pouch as well as these interchangeable bits, and I keep the bit bank in my primary camera bag since if I'm filming a client project and need to make last-second repairs on my tripods or other gear, I can run to my car, get the Leatherman, and swap out the bits in a pinch. Frequency of use is a 4 out of 10 since I do find myself needing to use it 2 to 3 times a month, but again, most of my daily tasks, the Bailout tackles just fine. Bang for buck, I'll give it an 8 out of 10 since as far as reliable multi-tools go, this is definitely more on the expensive side with the titanium model going for about $170 US, but the utility per square inch is tremendous given its relative small size compared to other multi-tools, and the sheer number of tools multi-tools offer just makes functionality unbeatable. Subjective enjoyment also ranks quite high at 7 out of 10. Despite it not being really fidget friendly, the overall confidence it inspires and just knowing it's reliably standing ready at arm's reach in the glove box is awesome. You know the drill. I've linked it in the description below if you'd like to check it out for yourself. Moving on to another Victorinox, this is the Ranger Wood 55. I bought this for my camping/emergency bag that lives in the trunk of my car. That said, for camping and real emergency type scenarios, the first thing I was looking for was a tool that had a saw. I make a fire from true complete scratch with nothing but a knife to whittle wood, debark, make a bow drill, and that twice a year, once in the rain and once in harsh Canadian winters, just to make sure I remember the process, even though I have every reason to believe that'll never be necessary. And every single time prior to picking up this Ranger Wood 55, I'd always think to myself, a saw would come in real handy. Frequency of use is a 0.5 out of 10. I mean, I went camping once in the past 18 months and used my bushcrafter for almost everything, and broke out this Ranger Wood 55 for opening a bottle of Pinot Noir, and yes, sawing some branches for the fire for the first time. Value for dollar, I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. I mean, it's definitely more on the expensive end at about $100 US, but it's definitely premium, and what I appreciate most about it are the detailed design decisions. The two that hit hard for me right off the bat. As you may know, most sack blades are slip joints with no locking mechanism. The Ranger Wood 55's main blade features a liner lock, but the operation comes elegantly hidden by pressing down on the logo to retract the blade. Very cool, be thoughtful. And the next is the saw itself. I mean, as you can see, it's set at a downward angle when deployed instead of going straight 180. So there's a natural force amplification when sawing through branches. Subjective enjoyment, this is purely aesthetic to me. I'm giving it a high 7 out of 10 because despite it not giving me any kind of fun, nor the satisfaction of frequent use, I just think it looks great. The wood really makes it feel almost nostalgic and old world. I love this thing, and I've linked it in the description below if you'd like to research it for yourself. Moving right along, it's the CRKT Provoke First Responder. I can't even really consider this an EDC blade since I wouldn't carry it with me. After my father was murdered by knife, I became pretty obsessed with counterblade defense. After going down a rabbit hole, I learned that the Filipino martial art of Kali and the Indonesian system of Silat are 2 counterblade techniques taught to military and police around the world. This Provoke First Responder was gifted to me by an assistant instructor in the Silat program I was learning from. Frequency of use, this is a 0 out of 10. It's called the first responder because it comes with the sheath and kind of flexible mounting hardware, and according to the marketing materials, apparently the curved karambit blade shape is favored by the likes of firefighters and paramedics for things like added angular leverage for cutting through seat belts or awkwardly angled cuts in tight spaces, but I'm definitely not a first responder and only EDC'd it once. Bang for buck for me is obviously a 10 out of 10 because it was a gift, but if I were purchased at over $200 I think it's a tough call. I mean, on the one hand, it's really cool. The handle construction and unique folding mechanism is fantastic. On the other hand, the blade steel is D2, which isn't a bad blade steel, but it just feels like $200 calls for a more premium blade metal. Balancing the uniqueness and coolness though, I think as objectively as possible, a 6.5 out of 10 is where I'd rank this on the value meter. Subjective enjoyment though, 10 out of 10, hands down. Going back to the cool deployment and folding mechanism, this thing is great. And of course the sentimental value of it being a relevant gift from a teacher hits the warm and fuzzies. Like all the others so far, I've linked it in the description below if you'd like to check it out for yourself. We've made it to the end, the last blade, which incidentally is also the subscriber giveaway knife. This is a CRKT CEO. It was a blind impulse buy. In fact, I need some sort of plugin that stops all online shopping capabilities on my computer and phone after 11 p.m. I just saw it and gave me some serious stiletto vibes and I just visually wanted it. I mean, look at it, it's so sleek and sexy. Frequency of use is a 0 out of 10. I literally unboxed it, tested the flicking action a few times, and tightened the pivot screw because there was just a hair of blade play from the factory, and I put it right back into the box. Bang for buck, I gotta give it a 9 out of 10. It's quite accessible at $40 to $50 but of course it's priced that way because of the 8CR13 MOV blade steel, a more budget steel for sure, but still fantastic for its likely intended use case. After all, it's named the CEO, so envelope, slicing through packaging tape, maybe the occasional cigar, just an elegant looking gentleman's carry. Feeling at home in a dress shirt pocket, nearly indistinguishable from a pen, or for the lady bosses, hardly taking up any space in a clutch or purse. This is a perfect example of what I meant earlier by individual long-term usability over quality and quantity. Even if you are a high-powered CEO, doesn't mean you have to buy a $5,000 knife. This CRKT piece will easily handle envelopes and slicing through packaging tape for decades. As usual, I've linked it in the description below if you'd like to check it out for yourself. Subjective enjoyment, for me, it's just a 4 out of 10. Despite loving the way it looks in hand, it's just not as beefy as I'd like for it to be, and it wouldn't handle the abuse I subject to my Bailout. But on the other hand, the fidget factor is on point. The ball bearings make thumb flicking a joy, and the liner lock flicks back confidently as well. And I gotta say it again, it's just sleek and sexy, and I love the patterning detail on the handle, almost looking carbon fibery. And I'm giving it away. So how do you enter? Super simple. There are just 2 requirements. Since it's a subscriber giveaway, you of course gotta be subscribed to this channel. So if you're already a subscriber, you're already halfway there. The other requirement is that you comment at the very least your Instagram username below. You don't have to follow me on Instagram. You just have to have an Instagram account and post a comment that includes your Instagram username in the comments below by this date right over here. And that way, if you win, I'll be able to DM you right away. I will pay for shipping anywhere on planet Earth, but you have 2 responsibilities. The first one is to know your local knife laws. If this folding knife is illegal where you live and you get into legal trouble, that's obviously on you. And the second responsibility, depending on where you live and the trade agreements between your country and Canada, where I am, you may be required to pay customs, taxes, or import duties, which will be your responsibility to cover if you win. In the interest of time, instead of explaining how the winner will be selected, you can watch the end of this video right over here because all of my giveaways follow the exact same selection process. If you got some value, please do hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe and comment to enter the giveaway. As usual, thanks so much for kicking it with me, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.